Hi everyone. So we're looking today at something entirely different. One of the ways that I developed in crafting was to do advanced iris folding. So I decided we were going to look today at making your own iris folding apertures and your own iris folding pattern. So I felt the easiest one for you to look at was probably a kimono. So I've been doing a lot of origami, so I've got a lot of lovely papers that I make my origami from. So we're going to have a look. We're going to work towards a 6x6 card or 15 centimetre square, and I've got a couple of pieces of card that I'm going to work with to create it. So the first thing we're going to do is to design our template that will cut this multiple times over. So I'm just going to put a few marks to center up my design. This isn't terribly important. It's just going to help me. So there I've got a few rough lines dividing up my card. This is going to make the aperture. So what we're going to do first is we're looking at simple shapes that we can cut out. So if we have a look at this basic piece, it's like a huge rectangle. So it's 10 centimeters down and 6.5 centimeters across. So that's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to center up, so I'm drawing some rough pieces here, and that is 10 centimeters with 5 at the center. So I'm going to just whiz those across. It doesn't have to be terribly accurate, as you'll see as we go on. Right, now I want the width. Now it's 6.5, so I'm going to put 3.25 and just mark there, and the same at the bottom. Nobody is going to see this, it's for your creation. Right, so there is a basic shape. So I've now got a very fine black pen. It helps me to actually see the design a lot easier, and it will certainly be easier for you to pick up on the video. So the first thing we're going to do is to mark the sleeves, and they are 4 centimeters deep. So coming across, marking 4 centimeters down from the top. And that is our first mark. We know that the sleeves come out to there, so let's mark those. We can make adjustments as we go with this. So there is my top piece that is for this rectangular bit here. Now I'm going to add a collar. So I'm going to put that, and I'm going to put a 1 centimeter mark there. And I'm just going to draw across. This is flexible. So I'm just putting a chamfered line on there. There is our collar. There is our sleeves. Right, now traditionally the skirt of the kimono comes out a little bit more, so I'm just going to add a little bit there. and I'm going to go to the center of my sleeves, and I'm going to mark 2 centimeters out that way and 2 centimeters. So I've got a 4 centimeter piece in the middle, and I'm going to join those up there. Now I could draw a line across there, but we're going to modify that a little bit to make it more realistic. So on the sleeves, I'm going to just do a slight slanting line. Okay, so I've made those a little softer. Then I'm going to look at this bit here, and I'm going to just bring that and soften the edge on the bottom. There is our template. So I'm now going to take my craft knife and I'm going to cut out as carefully as I can the outline. This is only a pattern for you, it's not the actual card. So across to the neck, up, across, down, and I should be back to the beginning. So hopefully now that will just pop out there. Right, it's this outer piece that we want. Now, when I put this onto a card, if all my workings were inside, it would be a mess. So I tend to add an extra piece on the top, and then all the workings are hidden behind here. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. I just press that down so I'll show you what I'm doing with that in a minute. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, this is my 6-inch card that opens. Put that to one side. My 6-inch card, and I've got an extra piece on here. Now, this is my aperture. This is what I'm going to actually do my pattern with. So the first thing I'm going to do is to place that on there, because we have to design the pattern. If you find that you're really happy with this at the end, I would suggest you laminate it and cut out the centre, and then you've got a hard copy to keep. So that's to make my aperture. This is for me to design my pattern. So the first thing we're going to do is to cut our aperture. Okay, so I've got a newer craft knife. That's much better. So I'm now going all the way around the outside. I don't have to be exact, because we'll see in a minute. I'm going to just put a little wave on that bottom piece. Come up the side, across to the sleeve, back to the beginning. There we go. Right, so this is my piece that is going to go on the front of my card. So I'm going to mark that side because this is the side I want to work from. And we're coming back to this piece, which is going to be my pattern. Now I want to keep this pattern if it works out all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is to draw off the collar. And I'm going to put that as number 1. Okay. I'm going to do a slanting bit on the end, and this is going to be the cuffs of the design. So I'm doing a mark there and a mark there. This is no way traditional iris folding, otherwise we'd be going round and round to a center point. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I'm going to do a second piece for the sleeve, and I want to finish up my sleeve level with the neck and level with the sleeve. So okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is important when you do these that you have a number system to follow. Okay. Right, now we're going to go right across the bottom to do the piece across there. So 6, 7, that will be number 8. And we're going from the top there. We want to emphasize the sides of the kimono. So we're having a really long piece here. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now we can do a bit more exciting stuff. We want to work towards the top so that we have a V-neck when we've finished. Now, with iris folding, you must have 2 anchor points where you put your tape. So if you see here, our anchor points would be here and here. When these come down, it will come over the top of that. Okay, so it becomes clearer as we go on. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not measuring, I'm just doing by eye. I'm starting to just do little shapes. So we've got 10, 11, 12, just taking bits off each time. So that is 13, 14, and then I'm going to come up the next one to just level with the sleeves. And I want to meet in the middle. Okay. 13, 14, 15, 16. Right, now I can start bringing other bits through. I'm going to want, in the end, to put a piece through the middle, okay, as the band around the kimono. So I want to take now from that point there, 15, 16, next one should be from this side, and I'm just going across there. Now the next, that will be 15, 16, that's 17. I want to look at that and bring that roughly level. So that is an 18. These are now crisscrossing. 18, one from this side, 19, and then one from this side, 20. Now that will leave me this triangle here. So I can now put in a line across. That will be 21. And I'm going to do a broad sash across there, which is 22. Now I need to start making the V-neck up here. So I'm going to roughly mark center point there. I'm going to do a small triangle each side. 22, 23, 24. If we look at this, I want to make this broad finish up here. So I'm going to take that, 23, 24, 24, 25, 26, and 27 is going to be the last piece. Right. The whole thing is really doing lines on alternate sides to make up your pattern. Okay, so don't be put off with this, it will work. Right, I've now got some papers. Now, it just so happens that these are double-sided, so I know that I have matching and toning pieces. And as it's got a bit of brown branches on there, I've put another bit in that will pick those colours up. So, first thing I'm going to do is to cut some strips. Now I tend to do my strips about 1 inch, 2.5 centimetres. And I'm going to do this one. But if I run out of one colour, I know I can just turn them over and I will have the pattern all plain. I'm not measuring these out. Like so. I'll do not too much brown. So now I have 3 different colours. In comes that, and what I want to do now is to put my aperture, this is what's going on the card, and line it up with the edges of my design. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of tape and I'm going to fix that in place so it's not going to move. There we go. Right, now I want to show you this, because what I've done now is I've put on my peel-off box a strip of tape. Right. I'm then going to take my scissors and just do little snips, because I want a selection of bits of tape that I don't have to keep taking off the reel. I'll show you how we do this bit in a minute. Let's push down onto there. it just has to go onto something that it's going to not stick to too heavily. So bring these out and put this in front of me. So there we go. We're going to start with the edges of the sleeves, which is 2 and 3, and the collar, which is 1. So I'm just going to fold over, not in half, right, but just part way down the strip, and I place it onto my pattern, and I just tear it so that I've got a bit hanging over this side and a bit over this side. Pull off one of my pieces and tape it down. First one, I'm going to tape down both sides, but that's just the first one. I'm going to place this on, tear it. Now the thing with tearing your tape, right, is that it feathers the edge and makes it lie a lot flatter when you've finished. So I've now covered 1, 2, and 3. I'm just putting one piece there. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to go for plain colour. So I'm going to fold that down, tear off a piece that will overhang both sides of my aperture, and stick it down. This one. The important thing to look for is that you haven't got any tape coming into the aperture. I didn't quite catch. Right, and that you're following all the lines very carefully. Right, so I've got pattern, plain, and I'm going to go back to the pattern here. Actually, I think we'll do a strip of brown. And I'll show you why in a minute. Yeah, we're going to do a strip of brown down here. Right, now always make sure that you've got no pieces of sellotape showing in the aperture. Just going to turn that back because it will show on the front of your design. Those are lined up nicely. Now the reason I put the brown in was because I want the pattern to do my side pieces here. So I'm going to go across the bottom first with number 8. Number 8 there. And we're going to do 2 long pieces that are going to go right from the top to the bottom. Always keep the bits you tear off because they will fit elsewhere on your design. Because this is a long piece, I want to make sure that it's fitted down top and bottom, because that could easily move. There's that. Fold another piece, and this is going right from the top there right to the bottom, tear off and fix in place. Right, you can't see how the design is working out until right at the end. Now I've used up all my tape, so I'm going to take the next bit, place that right on the edge, and then I can just snip later. Right, so now we're going to 11, 12. I'm going to put some dark colour in. I want to make sure I've got dark for the 22 across the middle. Eleven, 12. We're going to go back to red. 13. 14. Then I want to come back to pattern. Just going to place an extra piece just to hold those in place. Yep. Right, 15 and 16 I'm going to do pattern. So let's have a look if any of these will do. We'll just go in place. And let's see if that's not big enough, so don't risk it. So make sure if they're crossing over that they're crossing in the right order. Right, 17 and 18. I think I'm going to come back to brown. Every one of these that you do will probably be different. Some more tape. I used to put this on the side of my table, but I could guarantee that I would lean up against it and spoil all the bits of tape. That is just big enough to go across. Then we're going to go to red. We've got some spare pieces here. So that's 19. See? Then I can go to pattern, which is my 21. Now, if you remember, I said I wanted a dark sash across. So I'm going to take that and do 22. Right. Now I'm going to do pattern for these two. It is so flexible, but just make sure that when you're trying to do a pattern, you balance both sides. So if you put pattern one side, equal it on the other. Now I want to make this piece here, which I'm going to do as, I think, red. I've no idea what the pattern is going to look like when I turn it over. It's part of the excitement. "26", and I'm going to have a dark neckline. And just lift that up. So this, that one, and 27 will be my last piece. So I'm just going to open that out and put the whole piece across and fix in place. Now we can reveal our design. So take those off. Doesn't look very much from the back, but let's see what it looks like when I turn it over. Wow. Okay, keep this pattern, because if you like it, you can laminate it and use it time and time again. Now, one of the things that you can do when you look at it like this is you can decide on a colour if you wish. So if I had pieces that I wanted to make sure, like the dark sash, I could just colour that in. Maybe I want a dark area down the sleeves and a matching bit here. So that would be dark on the edges. So you can work out on here your colour scheme if you really want to. So if you want to make sure that one is a pattern, you could mark all the pieces you want as a pattern. Okay, so don't be afraid to draw it all out. Right, so I'm going to move that out the way now. We're coming in to this. And I'm going to get a piece of the matching paper, which is there. Red. And I'm going to mount that behind there. So this piece here, I'm going to place on my trimmer, and I'm going to trim a small bit. Now, if you've fixed all your pieces nicely at the back, they're not going to come off at all. So you can quite easily trim to there we go. So I'm going to bring in extra piece, which I know matches, and I'm going to fix that in place. But while I'm doing it, I'm making sure that any pieces that come to the edge are going to be firmly fixed in place. I know this sounds a little daunting, but it's not really. Yep. And I'm going to bring in my ruler. Half knife. And I'm just doing a small border all the way round to pick up the colour. Now on this one here I've put some gold around it, so let's see. I have got room to put that, but I think with it being pinks I'm going to put silver. So I take a nice sparkly bit. I'm going to make this a fancy edge rather than a straight one. So I want to make sure I've got enough space all the way round for my fancy scissors to hold on to. I'm now going to put this, and the fancy scissors are going down the edge of the red. So I've got a guideline to cut to, cut on past, turn it, and come in from this side. Never go to the end of your scissors because you will get a rip. It's a safety feature that's built in, and you want a nice, clean, crisp finish. So there we have now a very pretty finish to my card. And I have some peel-offs that are oriental. So I'm going to add some corners. Now, do you remember when we started, we did a little wavy line here, which gives you a much more natural finish to the bottom of the kimono. This one I've just curved flat, okay? But your pieces of your pieces of design that go onto it will absorb any little marks that you've got around the outside, not cut precisely. Okay, so we're going to take that now, and if I go to my peel-offs, I've got some little silver corners that will just start to bring up the colour. And oh, it is. Here's my other one. So there we have the next one, and I really think it looks beautiful. None of the colours are in the same place. It's a different design slightly to that one, but nevertheless you can now produce that as many times as you like. because you have the outline to your kimono and you have your pattern that goes behind. Okay, so do have fun, but don't be afraid to change things. If you wanted to do a different pattern behind here, simply draw around. But remember, you must have something to anchor your design to. So what if we did 1? You could do 2. The neck needs to be sorted, so that could be 3. You might want a whole sleeve coloured. 3, 4, 5. Right. You might like to do straight lines. 6, 7. You could have this crisscrossing in the middle. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The sash in the middle, don't forget, that needs to be the center point of your design. 11. You could do diagonals. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and have a almost triangular neck. 17. So you can see I haven't measured anything out. I've just done lines going up, lines from the side, and that one would make a totally different design. So I'm not going to do that in front of you, but I will do it now, and I'll bring the finished card in a minute. Right, so we made this quick design here, and I've transformed it into this one. Now, what I wanted you to see is that you lose detail by doing bigger portions. So here, the sash is a lot bigger. The sleeves, I've only put one colour down each side, and this I've kept to big portions. So the more you put in, the more detailed your design is going to be, and the more colours that you can put in. Because this one was big pieces, I had to stick to 2 main colours, which was the reverse of the pattern. So have a go, and it doesn't matter if you start off with bigger pieces, you'll soon get the confidence to then make much more detailed lines and be prepared to put more pieces into your design. Okay, so do have a go. It's not as daunting as you think it might be, and this is an easy design to actually start with because of all straight lines. Okay, happy crafting and God bless you all.